Hey everybody, this is Clint with Econ4Dummies. I just want to talk to you real quick and give you my jobs plan. I hear jobs plans all the time, and I just want to give mine. First thing I would do is I would repeal the minimum wage law. This would allow a lot of companies that are struggling right now and they don't have enough money to hire people lower that are unemployed. In order to do that, you'd have to do the second thing in my plan, and that's to end unemployment benefits immediately. The thing is, right now, is unemployment. You can actually make more money in unemployment than getting a job. That's the reason a lot of people are still unemployed. I knew a guy that back when I was still working in heat and air, he got the job, and he basically hadn't worked in a year until he got this job, and hadn't even looked for a job. He's making pretty good money just sitting at the house. So what incentive does that give you to get out and work? So it's basically welfare. Just because you lost your job, you get welfare automatically. That's another thing I would end, welfare. Pretty much end it completely. I think, maybe somebody was disabled and couldn't work, but that's very rarely is that the case. It's mainly people who are just too lazy to get jobs. I'm sorry, get over it. That's what they are. The third thing I would do is I would repeal all hiring and firing regulations, and pretty much that's one of the main things you hear about that's hurting jobs right now. It's the regulations that come around with them. That most people, it's counterintuitive. Most people, they think they hear, something like the Americans with Disabilities Act, and they think, well, that's going to help people with disabilities get jobs. Well, no, actually, it hurt people with get jobs. It helped the people that already had jobs because they have a built-in legal precedent to sue somebody that fires you just because you're disabled. And this is ridiculous. That's the reason people stopped hiring them, because they were afraid they'd get sued. Originally they would hire somebody and they would see if they could produce enough to compensate them what they're paying them, and if they did, they kept the job. If they didn't, they had to let them go. And now they just won't hire them at all because they're afraid they're going to get sued for firing somebody. The fourth thing, I'd repeal all business regulations altogether. Now, I probably wouldn't mess with all the environmental. I'd like to cut it back, the EPA, but I think it would be they'd fight you tooth and nail on that one. But pretty much all you got to do is say, I'm going to repeal all the regulations just for a short time, just until we get back on track, and then we'll restore some of them. Really, I don't think we need any. I think we get away without any and still be better off. The FCC's been around during all the crap that's happened the last 10 years, and they've not stopped any of it. Didn't stop WorldCom, didn't stop Enron, didn't stop the housing bubble, and the lowering of lending standards. They're useless. You're useless. All they do is take up money and put roadblocks in front of companies to make it harder to make a living. Okay. The next thing I would do is I'd stop propping up asset prices, and they're doing this especially with housing and stuff like that. The thing is, yes, I own my house. I'd hate to see prices drop, but the thing is, lower income families could afford houses if they could get it down a little lower. They got up to ridiculous numbers. So they need to come back down in order for them to start growing again. That's just the way it has to be. So and the thing is, this would help the lower class. It would hurt the upper class. So all those people that like that wealth distribution, this would do it. It just wouldn't be direct. It would be because of falling prices, because of lower demand. People could afford the things they need easier. Even though they're making less money because the minimum wage law has been less, they could buy more things. And eventually, as the economy got better, companies started making more money. They could pay people more because they're making more money, and then it would come up. Wages always rise and fall faster and slower than the products that's in the market. Like for instance, let's say most depressions, they have deflations, and the reason for this is because demand shrinks. So when supply is the same and demand shrinks, prices have to fall. Well, the thing is, companies, if they don't lower wages, they'll go bankrupt because they can't afford to make money and still, charge less for the products. It gets distorted now because of inflationary procedures of the Fed, but basically that's how it would work in a free market, a real market. And so it would since wages are more sticky. Think about it. How many times are you going to take less money for what you're doing? You might if you knew the company was struggling, but you're not just going to take less money just because they were making less. Unless you know that they're about to go bankrupt, then you might start letting off. The thing is that all the rest of those products in the market are already falling. So you're making more money because you can buy more with what money you're bringing in, really. So real wages are rising. And the same thing happens when when prices are rising, when demand shoots up. Your wages are going to rise faster than those prices are. So, I mean, that's how it would work without them. Now with the Fed, you're just always going to lose real wages. I mean, prices are going to rise, and your wages, think about it, how much prices have risen on things like gas and milk, things like that, since '08. But as your income rose any? No, because they're not making as much, so you can't get more money. So they're stealing from us, basically. The Federal Reserve, it's just what it is. It's just, organized theft. Now, the government, that's something I always love, that analogy. The government is the biggest mob in the world. It's the biggest mafia in the world. I mean, they steal from you, and nobody can question them because they're the government. And, that's how it was when the mob was around. They could come in and extort you for money. At least you knew they were doing it. They were openly extorting you. But, that's what the government does. They extort you for money. If you don't give us money, we'll come and break down your door and take you into jail. I mean, how's that any different than the mob? Well, actually, the mob, at least, you know where it's coming from. The other thing I would do, it's not part of my jobs plan, but I think it alone could be its own jobs plan. And that's restoring hemp, making hemp legal. The thing about hemp is you can make it into 50,000 different products. Henry Ford made a car out of it in the 40s. The body panels out of it. It's lighter, so you could make it with a smaller engine, better gas mileage. It's stronger than steel. There's a video. You just look up hemp car on YouTube, and there's a video of a guy taking an axe to the trunk and he's beating the axe into the trunk, and it's not even denting it. Probably scratch the paint, but it's not denting the actual body. Another thing you can do with it is you can the seeds are the second most nutritional product or vegetable in the world. Next to soybeans, it's the next most nutritional on the planet. A lot of places in the world use hemp seeds as one of their main dietary supplements. Also, it can be made into ethanol. Henry Ford actually thought that eventually the entire world would use hemp as their fuel, and hemp fiberglass was making the cars out of it. Of course, it didn't end up that way, but there was that potential even then. He used his own. He made the hemp car ran off hemp ethanol and was made out of hemp. So it's a complete hemp car, pretty much, except for the engine and the frame, maybe. It also could be. Could be made into clothing, and cotton is the #1 user of that insecticides in this country, and hemp doesn't need any insecticides. So that alone, it wouldn't destroy cropland. One thing. Second thing, it's cheaper, and the third thing is it makes 10% more fiber than cotton does in the same acreage of land, and hemp fibers are stronger. They last longer. The first Levi jeans were actually made out of recycled hemp canvas from sailboats, ships. And that's pretty much that right there. Just repealing the minimum wage law and then unemployment benefits and all that unemployment would drop to the lowest level it's been in decades, because we've had a minimum wage law for decades. So you get rid of that, it would just completely sop up all that unemployment. And the thing is, if you don't want to make that money and you're really creative, you can start your own business and you can enjoy those lower labor rates. So you could start a new company and make money off the fact that the money is dropping, and you would make more money. And as you started making more money, you could pay your employees more. It helps startups. So it would be a boom for everybody. And that's the thing. When one person profits in society, as long as there's not a government getting in the way, or a government stealing money from one group and giving it to another, everybody benefits in a capitalist society, because the products, as more and more get made, the cheaper they get. And that's the way it should be. And this has been Clint with Econ4Dummies, and this is my job plan. Thanks.